Thoughts on the readings for April 12, Numbers 31, Proverbs 22, John 4. Numbers 31 tells of Israel taking vengeance against the Midianites because of the incident at Baal Peor. At that time the Midianites, also called Moabites, seduced the Israelites into fornication and forsaking Yahweh. This was because Balak took heed to Balaam's advice. Divination failed to bring a curse upon Israel, but carnal seduction took them away from the Lord's commandments. At Moses' command the nation battled Moab and slaughtered every man and woman who was not a virgin. The spoils of war were cleansed before being divided between the nation and the priesthood. The young maidens were similarly distributed between the two groups. Those who hate God and His Word call this chapter the sacrifice of the virgins. Those critics have clearly not read very carefully, since the only females slaughtered were not virgins. Presumably the virgins assigned to the tabernacle would have been given duties similar to those Gibeonites when Israel entered the Promised Land. Proverbs 22 verses 1 to 16 concludes the second book of Proverbs. Chapter 22 verse 17 starts Book 3. Book 3 of the Proverbs returns to the second voice. Verse 1 of chapter 22 states the theme for the close of Book 2 and addresses the theme. A good name is better than riches. All faithful believers need to understand that. A good name comes by diligence in the ways of the Lord. Verses 2 to 9 tell of what needs to be done to gain a good name, as well as behaviors to be avoided, i.e., those behaviors which destroy our name. Humility is urged in verses 2 to 4, since before our Maker we are all equal. Verse 6 reminds us that proper behavior is not an accident, but wise parents began that training at the start of their children's lives. Verses 7 to 9 reminds us that what we sow we will reap. So respect others and act with kindness to bring blessings to others and as a consequence benefits to yourself and your family. Verses 10 to 16 describe actions to be practiced and actions to be shunned. These words also outline the results of our chosen behaviors. Verses 17 to 29 relate advice by heeding the words of the wise. Verses 17 to 29 speak of the most important strategy for success, i.e., listen and weigh up your options before acting. James, the half-brother of our Lord Jesus Christ, tells us this in the first chapter of his letter. Verses 20 to 21 is a reminder from Solomon that his counsel must be followed if success is to be achieved. Verses 22 to 29 requires us to understand that all our actions are before the eyes of our Sovereign and He observes, weighs and repays our deeds. John 4 deals with the incident between Jesus and the woman of Samaria in which He offers her living water. There follows a discussion between Jesus and the woman about the site of acceptable worship, Jerusalem, or Gerazim. Jesus firstly tells her that salvation is from the Jews. Acceptance of God is dependent on two factors: sincerity and truth. These have always been the focus at Shechem. Joshua 14 verses 14 to 15, Judges 9 verses 14 to 15. The woman accepts Jesus as the Christ, Messiah, and she then has an incredible impact on helping the Samaritans to receive Jesus also. Philip would about 7 years later reap the gathering harvest now being down. That harvest is spoken about in Acts 8. From verse 46 to the end of John chapter 4, our Lord Jesus heals the son of an official from Capernaum, this being the second of the signs recorded by John, and resuting in the official and that nobleman thought by some to be Herod's keeper of the larder Chuza and his entire household becoming believers in our Lord.